Hey guys, welcome back to the Roto Moto Fantasy Show. My name is Donnie, and on this one, we're going to go over 10 tips and tricks I have for having a good season in PulpMX Fantasy. This is a live Patreon thing podcast that I'm also recording on camera to turn into a YouTube video, so please forgive the janky edit if you're watching this on YouTube. If you aren't part of the Roto Moto Patreon, this is the kind of content you can expect to receive in exchange for your support. Without further ado, let's get to the tips that I have for you. 10 of them that I think will lead you to better scores this season. Number one, make an early team. Set a lineup the second the handicaps come out. If the handicaps are out right now and you don't have a team, go set that team and then come back. Don't go for broke here. The goal here is a nice, safe team just in case disaster strikes and you are unable to get to the site on Saturday before the gates drop. I famously went riding a year back on race day. I uttered those no words of just one more lap in my head, and on that lap, I had a mechanical with my rear shock. Went down. I wasn't hurt, but the exhaust was literally sitting on the tire, completely unrideable. By the time I got the bike pushed up the hill to the pits, loaded up, changed, got out of there, found cell service, the picks were locked out. So I should have had 0 points, but luckily I set a nice safe team before I left, managed 317 outdoors, which is honestly a pretty shit score, but it's better than a 0. Second tip, you gotta have 8 guys in the main. I know missing double points sucks, but it is way better than a 0. The guy that won the whole damn thing for the 2020 Supercross title only had 2 zeros the entire season. Look at anyone who placed in those top few hundred, and that's what you're gonna find is a low number of zeros. If I could have turned my 2 zeros into even 10 points each, that would have gained me almost 60 spots and into the top 100 for the Supercross season. And the best way to get 8 in the main is tip number 3, stay away from those 16 handicaps, and even more so, stay away from anybody over like a 13. Once you get over 12, there is a significant drop-off of riders making the main, and those extra few cushion spots are not worth the risk of missing the main entirely and ending up with a big fat regrettable 0. There was a grand total of 18 perfect 52-point scores in non-Triple Crown rounds in 2020, and only 5 of them came from guys with a handicap of 13 or higher. Guess how many of those came from a 16? 0. Number 4 is pretty obvious, but check your qualifying results, and not just to see who qualified where, but to see who showed up at all. The best 2 resources for this are the Roto Moto cheat sheet that is released on Twitter and Instagram every race day immediately following qualifying. This lists each rider's handicap right next to their qualifying results, so you can quickly gauge who is hot that weekend and maybe who just isn't feeling that particular track layout. Also available to the members of the Roto Moto Patreon is the enhanced cheat sheet that will also show changes in handicap week to week. It has season-long averages for qualifying, starts, finishes in the main, how often guys have to make it to the LCQ. This is an even better resource for those of you that really want to win surprises. The 5th tip is one that everyone needs to hear. Stop getting cute with your picks. Stop trying to zig when everybody else is zagging, or so you think. If a guy's coming back from an injury or he's putting up, a too good to be true time in qualifying, it's okay to doubt that they're going to be all that. But if a guy looks like a good solid pick and you feel like everybody's going to pick them, there's probably a reason for that. The top scorers usually do have the highest pick trends. Of all the non-all-stars that had a 40% or higher pick trend, 70% of them scored at least 30 points or more, and only 8 of those guys failed to score double. That's just something to keep in mind. The 6th thing I want to tell you about is to stay away from flashy all-stars. This is a recipe for disaster. It happens every season. How many times were you burned in the last few years by guys like AC, Zach Osborne, Austin Faulkner, Jet Lawrence? These guys are balls out fast, and I can see why you would want to bite on this. But the faster they fly, the harder they fall, and these guys fall hard until they can consistently show then they know how to keep it on 2 wheels every round. I would stay with the guys that do it in and out every weekend. Guys like Marvin Muskin, Jason Anderson, who tend to be workhorses that have no problem throwing down that 20+1. The 7th is a cheapie, but stay away from flashy non-all-stars. Or more importantly, you need to know when to bite on flashy non-all-stars. Let those guys go out and have a bad round and then pick them up next. Davalos, Baggett, Bloss come to mind here as the kind of guys that are streaky, and you do not want to be stuck on the wrong week of one of those riders when they are putting up monster points on the other. Number 8 will change the entire way you play, and this is guaranteed to get you more points. Stop looking for guys that can get double points. Double points is the bare minimum. If you want 26, go pick an all-star. You want guys that are going to get 30, 32, 34 points or more every single week. Guys that are you reasonably believe can get in the top 7 or 8 after handicap. And I know this is a little bit harder. It's a little bit more math than simply 10 plus handicap. But trust me when I say it's possible. A guy that has an 8 handicap, can he get 15th? Are there 7 main event guys that you reasonably think he could beat and you wouldn't be surprised? Write them down if it helps. The last 2 years, the top 100 cutoff was right around 3,950 points. It was 3,950 one year, 3,936 the other. That's an average of around 240 points per round. So let's say on average, you're getting 23 points for your 250 All-Star, 23 for your 450. So that's like a second place finish for both of them. Or maybe you get 26 and 21, whatever it be. Let's say you have good weekends from your All-Star all season. That leaves 31 points per non-All-Star rider per round. And if you're brave enough to pull like FFLs every round, that can really help out. But ultimately, you're looking for guys that can reasonably finish 7th or 8th after handicaps. Number 9, and I need you to listen to this carefully. You cannot win the season in the early rounds, but you can lose in the early rounds. Do not dig yourself into a hole early. If you go for broke round 1 and you miss, you are forced to continue to go broke for the entire season, and that is stressful and it is not sustainable. Think like a champion. Take a smart, conservative team round 1. Escape with the points you need and live to fight another day. Minimizing your risks will minimize your zeros, and that will take you far into the season. And the 10th and final tip, if you don't already know, is to hit that little subscribe button right below this video. If you haven't, tick the bell so that you never miss a video. Scroll down a little bit more in the rabble right below there. Follow RotoXMoto on Twitter. Follow RotoXMoto on Instagram. And for extra credit, if you haven't already, become a member of the RotoMoto Patreon. I spend so much time every week getting all this content out to you guys between videos, podcasts, cheat sheets, race day updates, injury reports, and you owe it to yourself to use all of these tools in order to get the best score. Fantasy should be fun, and winning is fun. Thank you guys for watching. See you on race day.